Have you ever just, looked at a flower and really wondered about the tiny microscopic factory that's working away inside? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers on plant reproduction. And yeah, it's a process that's full of these really intimidating scientific terms, but I promise you, it's all part of one elegant, really logical puzzle. So let's solve it together. So, this is our central question. Okay, take a deep breath. Microsporaphyll, Microsporangium, sporogenous tissue. I know, it's a total mouthful. It sounds so complex, but the actual relationship between all these parts is way more straightforward than their names make it seem. We're just going to unpack it one layer at a time. And here it is. This is the key to understanding all of it. Just picture a set of Russian nesting dolls. You've got a structure tucked inside another structure, which is inside another one. You get the idea. We're going to start with the biggest outermost doll and just work our way right to the very center. All right. So our journey starts with the largest outermost doll in our set, the microsporaphyll. Let's figure out what that actually is. So what is a microsporaphyll? Well, it's basically a specialized leaf. It's been modified with one job, to hold all the parts that make male spores. And here's the best part. You probably already know what this is. In flowering plants, we just call it the stamen. That's right. The stamen is the microsporaphyll. So that's our big outer doll. Okay, so we've got our first doll identified. It's the stamen. So, what happens when we look inside? What's the next layer of this botanical puzzle? We're zooming in now, looking inside that first structure. And to be specific, we're looking at the part of the stamen called the anther. You know, that little bit that's usually sitting right at the very tip. And there it is, our second nesting doll. Inside that anther, you find these structures called microsporangia. And just like before, there's a much simpler name for it, the pollen sac. So the crucial point here is that the pollen sac is the microsporangium, and it's located inside the microsporangium, which we call the stamen. See, we've gone one layer deeper. So we've opened up the stamen and we found the pollen sac. The next obvious question is, what's inside the sac itself? Let's keep going deeper, right into the heart of this little spore-making factory. That pollen sac, it isn't empty. No, it's packed with something called sporogenous tissue. You can think of this as the raw material. It's just a dense cluster of cells, and what makes them special is that they are diploid, which just means each one has the complete two-part genetic blueprint from the parent plant. Every single one of these cells has the potential to become a spore. This tissue is literally the filling of our second doll. Okay, we've gone from the leaf to the sac to the tissue filling that sac. We are so close now to the final innermost doll. This is the fundamental source of everything we've been talking about. And here we are, the final piece of our puzzle. It's the smallest, but you could argue it's the most important component in this whole chain, the microspore mother cell. And this is where the magic really happens. That sporanginous tissue isn't just one big mass. It's made up of all these individual microspore mother cells. Each one is like a tiny powerhouse. It goes through this special cell division process, and from that one cell, it creates 4 microspores, which of course we know as pollen grains. This is it, the very center of our nesting doll. We've done it. We've unboxed every single layer, from that big leaf-like structure all the way down to a single cell. Now let's put it all back together and see the full picture. The entire relationship just laid out clearly. So here's the complete hierarchy. Our full set of nesting dolls. The outermost doll is the microsporaphylla, what we call the stamen. You look inside that, you find the microsporangium, or the pollen sac. That sac is filled up with sporanginous tissue. And that tissue, well, it's made of all the individual microspore mother cells, which are the little factories that produce the pollen. It's a perfect 4-layer system. And really, if you remember one thing from all this, just make it this. The cells are in the tissue's in the sac, and the sac is on the modified leaf. When you think about it like that, all those super complicated terms suddenly just click into place. It's a beautifully simple system, isn't it? So we've solved the puzzle of where pollen actually comes from, tracing it all the way back to a single cell inside a series of nested structures. But really, that's just the beginning of the story. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that this tiny pollen grain exists, what incredible journey does it have to take to fulfill its ultimate purpose? Well, that's a story for another time. Thanks for joining me.